Professor, Physician, Epidemiologist. I am Dr. Sri Banerjee. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. In this video, I'm going to show you a very useful tool created by the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's called the EJ Screen tool. It's the Environmental Justice Screening and Mapping tool, and this is the second version. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look at what are some of the nice features of this web-based app. Okay, so let's orient ourselves as to where we are. Over on the left-hand side, you can switch over for maps, places, reports. So let's just stay at the level of maps and take a look at all of the various options that are available for you at your disposal at the click of your finger, and a click of a button. And so, looking at the environmental justice indices, there's options to do particulate matter 2.5, ozone 2017, diesel particulate matter, even Superfund proximity sites, lead paint, traffic proximity. So any sort of areas and environmental considerations that would potentially have an impact on health outcomes can be mapped here. And just to make a note, it might be useful for you to go through some of these and export some maps and then use it in ArcGIS or some software so that you can look at additional layers, and if you want to run some complex level analysis. However, if you're looking to potentially just relate some of these layers and provide some description of what is going on, then these maps can suffice, and these are very powerful alternatives for having to go through the layering process and having to deal with multiple files, sometimes an average of 6 to 7 files that you're having to deal with to create a map. So this is kind of an easy alternative. That's just a side note, but back to the topic at hand. So these are all areas, and I encourage you to look at each and every one of these topics and see how they can affect overall health. And these are linked to policy, like Superfund proximity. This is definitely when a lot of the cleanup of hazardous wastes were going on. This was a legislation that was passed, and so I encourage you to again look into that. And then pollution and sources. There is particulate matter 2.5 and additional menu items. So so you can also then look at socioeconomic indicators, and some of the socioeconomic indicators are demographic index, then people of color, low income, unemployment rate, linguistically isolated, less than high school education, under age 5, and then over age 64. So these are some socioeconomic indicators that you have at your disposal that can just quickly provide a nice map. And then health disparities. So these are low life expectancy, heart disease, and asthma, and you can just click on these and click on these maps. And there's a map of low life expectancy. So see, this is so easy to just implement, and then take a quick look and see where are the areas of low life expectancy, and see that some of the southern states lag more behind than other places, but then also there are pockets in other regions, and you'll quickly start to see as I'm going through multiple types of maps that the regions that have communities which are needing more resources and have disparities are persistently the same communities with poor outcomes. So these patterns kind of persist. So this actually is so powerful that it even incorporates climate change data. I did go over climate change data as it pertained to other types of FEMA data sets. Now we're looking at this from the context of Environmental Protection Agency. So it's just a different frame of reference. And then, so wildfire hazard potential, drought, coastal flood hazard, 100-year floodplain, and then sea level rise. And that's NOAA National Ocean and Aeronautics Administration. And then there's 3 areas of critical surface gaps. I'm going to quickly show you what these are. So the first one I kind of already had mapped out as an intro map, and that was the broadband access. And this is an interesting concept because I'm just going to quickly say this. Even though internet access seems so ubiquitous, anywhere you walk in, you have internet. The fact of the matter is there's still pockets and areas where broadband gaps persist. And you can see this quickly. For instance, looking at Arizona, there's many areas with limited broadband. But even over in, if you look in Georgia and Atlanta, there's pockets and actually areas in eastern Georgia, in rural areas, that there's gaps. If you look in Little Rock, there's actually gaps in the surrounding area for broadband access. So if you want to quickly see what is going on at the level of the block group with broadband access, then you can generate a report for that local level and accordingly meet the needs of access at that level. So you can generate a report and quickly see from these reports what is going on at the local level. So this is a good demonstration. You can see then just switch over to food desert and then map those out and see if there's access. And you might have to kind of toggle around with the indicators to make sure that you have the right type of variable showing and what the coloration is of each of these. So just go through these a little bit and see what you can come up with. So then let me kind of zoom out here and try to focus a little bit on this. I was trying to zoom out, and so now that we've zoomed out here, I want to show you a neat little tool here which allows you to kind of compare 2 maps simultaneously, and I'm going to show you this. So here is a double map, and as you zoom in, you're going to see that you can see perspectives on both ends. So just looking at what is going on the left side and the right side. Wanting to note here that what goes on the left side will mirror what goes on the right side, and you'll see the demonstration soon. So, but before I show the demonstration, I want to put into perspective what we have mapped on each side. So the left-hand side is the Environmental Justice Index for hazardous waste proximity and that's the national percentiles. So here you can see kind of what the hazard is from the Environmental Justice Index, and it varies by location. So these are all the counties mapped out throughout the country. And then on the right-hand side is a kind of a basic measure which I use very frequently in my research when I'm doing kind of socioeconomic status research, or understand how income level inequities play a role in poor health outcomes. So the main variable that I was looking at on the right-hand side was the percent ratio of income to poverty level less than 2. So basically, what percent, in a nutshell, reworded, what that means is what percent of the county population was residing at less than 200% of the poverty level, of federal poverty guidelines, basically. So what percentage was that? And the darker areas are a higher percentage of people being in that category. And you can see that through the legend that I have pulled up right here. And so the darker is higher categories. So let's hide this legend for a second here, and then kind of start to zoom in now. This is the fun part, which I was going to tell you about, and how it allows for a nice display. It's not the direction that I wanted this in. So zooming in, sometimes there's a little bit of a lag time in appearing of the colors. So trying to say go into looking at Kansas City. So I can see Kansas City on my right, so let me zoom in there, and then so here is Kansas City right here, and we can keep zooming in and explore what is going on at the local level. And so you can see now that some of the areas within the city, which are kind of colored in dark, which correspond to higher income inequity, are also areas where there's a higher percentage of hazardous waste. So these sorts of, although we're seeing this kind of on the map qualitatively, it's good to quantitatively show some of these, but this is a good sort of starting point to show some of these relationships. So again, just taking a look in this region and this corresponding region, there's areas which correspond kind of roughly to higher inequity versus kind of proximity to hazardous waste. So there you have it. This is a powerful way to kind of designate and see corresponding patterns that are taking place between the environment and health outcomes. I hope this has provided you with the background and necessary knowledge that you need now to create your own map and environmental justice tool, campaign, and call to action. Thank you for listening.